I would like to request Dr. Jolly sir to please come to the stage and present your paper. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all of you. Sorry that I don't have a PPT. At least you can see some color, but sorry, I never prepared one. And I also have my apprehensions relating to how much my talk is going to be very much related with this particular session. Because after all, I will be looking at some of the cases which is post-colonial as well as colonial or pre-colonial, So I'll be taking 4 cases and trying to see how proscription and resistance go hand in hand in a Keralian situation, where and I'm focusing on largely on the performances of Christian community. That is, I'm calling them as folk. Here the folk is nothing but a religious community, and it is not only a religious community but a community which shares something in common and continue doing that. So that is a very broader Allendendian idea. I'm considering the folk and the performance. So what will I do is as you know that Kerala in the tourist tag, it's goat's own country, which always boasts of the richness of many theatrical traditions. Being a Malayali, I always say that no other state in India can offer such an abundance of theatrical genres as Kerala. That's a very parochial view, but Malus are always very much parochial, But interestingly, Malus are so clever they can, showcase and display and make their performances much more visible. That's why it looks like we have many. So in Kerala, it is still possible to find archaic ritual theatre, probably originating from the Neolithic Stone Age, called Theyam. Kerala is also the inheritor of one and only surviving performance tradition in the Sanskrit drama tradition, which is called as Kudiyatam. We also have Kudiyatam giving birth to many other traditions like Kathakali, Ramanattam, etc., etc. We do also have quite a lot of Patu, the singing bard traditions, Vatakali, the dance dramas, circular dances. We also have interesting amount of puppetry traditions where the Ramayana is being portrayed using a tradition called Tholpavakutu. And we also have a Pava Kathakali, a later origin of tradition where the Kathakali is a performance genre and the dolls are made in the Kathakali figurine and they are trying to portray the story of Ramayana. So it's like, you see from the simpler puppetry tradition to highly ritualistic Sanskritized Kudiyatam, a hell of a lot of traditions are available in Kerala. But I'm not going to talk much about that. I'm just talking about largely about the Christian performance tradition of Kerala, which dates back to the advent of Christianity in the region. And as you know that the advent of Christianity has a legendary past encircled with religious belief embedded in peculiar cultural milieu. In Kerala we have an apostolic Christianity which is run beyond before the time of the colonial days, and we think that the Christianity have come through the land route and also the sea route. By the time the sea route comes, so we have the East Syriac migrations where the merchants coming from the Syria and establishing their own Eastern oriented Christian belief, and there is a large number of Christian population believe that their Christian religion is apostolic because it has originated from the Apostle St. Thomas. So what I'm trying to say is the diversity of the Christianity is there. We also have a very much colonial Latinized Christianity by the coming of Portuguese, the virtual Vasco da Gama, bringing the so-called propagandist Christianity with their Paduvado kind of missionaries, and the Franciscan follows up, and many things. I'm not going into that particular thing, but you know, in Kerala, as the Christianity is so diverse, we all have many kinds of Christian performances, which is called Margankali, which is called Parichamutukali, Vatakali, Pascha. There's nothing but a portrayal of the Passion of Jesus Christ. We also have a foot stamping drama called Chautanadakam. We also have a 3-Maggie play called Movarashanadakam. We also have a larger amount of professional come amateur biblical drama presentations, and etc. etc. So it's a kind of a, you know, there are quite a lot of a large amount of generic performance. I'm not going to all those things. I will start with some small incident which is, you know, which is connected with the proscription. That is called, there is a play called Kakkukali. In May 2023, after the Kerala Catholic Bishops' Council, that is called KCBC, showed a ban on staging a Malayalam play called Kakkukali, which is directed by Job Madathil, accused the critics having an agenda behind their charges and urged them to watch the drama first. A play based on the story by a Malayalam writer called Francis Norona and written by a playwright called K.B. Ajay Kumar. This play revolves around a young nun and her struggles and challenges which she comes across in a Christian convent. The larger amount of Christian community go haywire. They want the drama to be banned, and there were cases against it. They ransacked the festival where the Kakkukali started staging. It is done by a performers, a group called Hinditalasangram in Alappuzha district, which started working before the KCBC, Catholic Bishop Council, asking for a ban of that particular play. They have already done 17 shows. And once an Abu Dhabi based institution, Shakti Theatres, they started playing this play as a festival, as in their Bharat Murali festival. Then only the Catholic Council in the UAE started finding out that the play talks ill about the Christian denomination, the convent, the life of the people, the life of the nuns, etc., etc., etc. You know, so that kind of perspectives. The perspectives of biased parochialism might have made them to get into a ban and get into this. This is not the first time which is happening, you know. So there is like, that particular thing made the, Basilius Klimios, the KCBC president, to talk about that Kakkukali created a misunderstanding about the asceticism in Christianity and among the other groups. And it is the aestheticism that is the beautiful expression of Christian faith. That is what made it. And interestingly, the play was produced by the money given by CPM, the ruling party. And it was also produced in the International Festival of Theatre run by CPM. So it was like CPM was taking a little time to get into the demands of the Christian groups. And but naturally the opposition Congress pitched in, they started talking in favor of, and the political scene arised, and they all got into a fray. And you can see, this is something like a particular kind of a word from KCYM chairman will make you understand. It is something like, Kakkukali tries to disparage religion in its entirety, from the beginning to the end, particularly the priests and nuns of Christianity. The play is disrespectful towards the Christian faith and the monastic community, who have made numerous contributions to the development of society. That is what the KCYM's advocate Biju Kundangulam said. the secretary of the organization said, under the guise of freedom of expression, the government machinery is supporting the play, which indicates a covert plan to destroy the church and the monastic community. This is not acceptable. And they were all ready. They were all ready to go into any stages where the Kakukali is designed to be played. So there were the playwright who tried, K.D. Ajay Kumar, who is trying to say that it is never ever heartily believer, but it talks about a girl who is being forced into the nunnery and who tried to escape from the nunnery and who was trying to say, the play tried to portray a woman's perspective or women's longing for the freedom from the clutches of the church, the system. Well, the colonial church, which had established its own structures, its own laws, its own structural parameters, had the power to defy certain things and dictate certain things and demand a proscription for a creative expression. So this is not a new thing. When you look at, you can take back to the play does not contain any criticism against the church. Instead, it portrays the hidden motives behind the religious belief and exploitation of women. That is what is that majorly the intelligentsia, the left-oriented people, everybody talks, but it doesn't matter for the believer. The belief goes beyond. And it was like, it is like in the church, the structure, its stringent attitudes, its political backing, which makes them to impose a proscription which is highly colonial, patriarchal in that attitude. And it is not the new thing. When you look at the second case where I'm trying to say that, but interestingly, there is a legal battle is on with regards to Kakukali. Kakukali is nothing but the game of posted. Game of posted is throwing the poster and a blinded woman is hopping through the structure. That is the thing. It's a metaphorical meaning. But so far, but it is not banned officially. But it is not being performed because of the struggles by the group. So it's not being performed. So they have made an indirect ban to such a kind of a cultural expression. And we can say it is frozen. So even though there is a resistance, even though there is an aspiration for people to see, even though there is an aspiration for the cultural expression, freedom of expression, there is an indirect resistance to get things frozen. This is not the new thing. There is another second case. When I am trying to say about the second case is little back. In 1986, the church has organized a massive protest against PM Antony's play, Christuvinte Aram Thirumaro, that is the sixth holy wound of Christ, which was based on the Greek writer Nikos Kazantzakis' novel, The Last Temptation of Christ, which has led many issues and which has had a legal battle in the church. So what I am trying to say, the Kakukali of 2023 has a plan. That is in 1986. The 1986 case was very much thing, where church in Kerala has forced the state government to ban this performance on the religious ground, generated the heated discussion of freedom of speech in Kerala, which literally split the cultural pundits into two groups. Some of them are pro, some of them are against, and several writers and cultural personalities condemned the government for the decision of that play, that is the sixth holy wound of Jesus Christ. So, but it is mostly what happens, this particular play was, PM Antony's play was an independent adaptation of the Last Temptation of Jesus Christ. Last Temptation was not banned in India. When the Last Temptation was made into a film by Martin Scorsese in the Hollywood, there were quite a lot of issues in this. So it was Last Temptation as a novel, as a published work, or its translation were never banned. But when it is converted into a play, when it is converted into a visual performance, it has created ruckuses, it has made the thing. When you seriously look at the play's content and the portrayal of Jesus' characters, you can see that you can just look at one idea. That is the Kazantzakhian Christ and the Antonian side. I am talking about PM Antony, which are approximately analogous. But Kazantzakhi's depiction of Christ is on a larger canvas that covers almost the whole of Christ's life history. He is able to present the in-depth analysis of the character because it's a 435-page book. Kazantzakis in his novel, that he could do. But with regards to Antony is not able to replicate the profundity of Kazantzakis' Christ characterization, either because he was always thinking that I am talking on behalf of the Israel's freedom. For him, it was Israel was the character, not the Jesus Christ. And it is what is his centered theme. But what happened is, later the play has got into much more scrutiny. One can identify that PM Antony's Aram Tirumaravu, or the Last Temptation, was nothing but a kind of a mere imitation of a fragment of Kazantzakhi's play. So, but the staging of Kazantzakhi work had given sleepless nights to the then government because of all these things. The Kerala's Christians, but its subsequent ban has outraged the intelligentsia also. So it is like there was a lot of conflicting scenes and things were generated, and it was a bigger issue. Then what is happening? It is like, I will tell you very simple thing. The controversies began in the August 1986. When the first action against the theatre group, the police confiscated the play script and arrested the writer-director PM Antony. But Antony got a decree from the High Court and went on to stage the play in Alapi, Koilon and Kodunallur in Trichy district. But when it has come into the Trichy, the Bishop Joseph Kundakulam, the well-known leader of the district, predominantly Christian populace, Syrian Catholics, had organized a faithful protest. Nearly 50,000 people stayed in an impressive march and offered a fast and prayer before the collectorate, demanding the ban of the play. So that particular kind of a performance against a performance, made the collector Vinod Rai to say that we were forced to take this strong measure because we apprehended a law and order problem had the play been staged. That's what the thing. Then it has gone into the court and it has made so many issues, and the court has made a committee, and the committee, including the 30, something around 16 members were present. There were to and fro, directions. The High Court taken a long time, but interestingly and lastly, even though it was a tug of war, finally they have revoked the act of dramatic ban act of the Kerala government, or the appropriation of the Indian Dramatic Ban Art Act and Censor Act, and they have made the Kerala has banned this particular performance. That's what has happened. Why this happened, a ban has happened, is in the late 80s and all, the structural power of Christianity intact was very much powerful. There were a lot of vote bank policies. There were a lot of things they can command the government. That is why in the assembly, a person like Lonapan Nambadan, a minister, is saying that there is in a Calicut University textbook, there are 6 pages which is appreciating this Kazantzakhi's work. What they have done is they have banned that book from the university syllabus, because then and there in the assembly, T.M. Jacob, then the Congress minister, has banned it without even consulting the university, So it was the power, the religion, even though it's the religious power, the structural power, and the political ambitions of the party to cater to the vision, whims of the community, that made it as possible. Then there's another case where it is, I'm again going back to a tradition which is there in Kerala, which is called a three-Maggie play or Moorish Natakam. That happens. This play has, the history of 173 years of continuously performing. The play Mudraja Kutu or the Moorish Natakam portrays the story of the Nativity, the birth of Jesus, and the journey of the Magi, the three wise men, on the Epiphany Day. It is a prominent genre in the Kerala Christian performance tradition. The religious theatrical performance is conducted every year on a Sunday, January, the first Sunday of the January, at the premises of one St. Anthony's Church, Athikodu, in the Palakkad district. Palakkad is an interesting district. Palakkad district, the maximum number of RSS groups are there in the RSS shakas are there in Palakkad district. But Palakkad district has an interestingly unique play which has been running for 173 years, and which portrays the story of the thing. Where the interesting aspect of the story is, here the King Herod as portrayed as a Hindu king, and he is believing in the Puranas and Shastras of Hindus and really relies his faith on the soothsayer. That is a Brahman, he is a Vedashastri or Papan or whatever it is, and he believes in all kind of astrological measure. Where to that kingdom, to that court, the Magi comes in, and the Magi try to rationally contradict to King Herod, saying that whatever he learned in his Puranas are rationally illogical, which is not true. This is not true God, and somehow convince. So it is a performance which start by the evening and end up in the next day morning. So it's a performance of 14 hours duration with processions and prayers and things like that. In that performance, there is a larger sequence where the Magi, the wise men of the East, try to convince and try to convert Hindu Herod into their own newly elevated That particular play is aimed at the proselytization and aimed at a particular kind of a conversion. But still it was there. It never had a problem. It had a problem only once in the lifetime. That is in 1967. In the 1967, one guy goes to the police station and complained that this is against all our religious spirits and things like that. So the police acted upon it, police had made an inquiry, police grabbed the script, police made a bigger scene, and in 1967 it was never made. But interestingly what happens is, this particular one-man community which is migrated to different parts, they come and perform this play as their ritual obligation. And it is the social obligation of that particular area of people to consider and celebrate this particular festival, where certain kind of hereditary hierarchies and hereditary lineages in handing over, taking up the role of Herod, role of the king Balthazar, Melchior, the role of the king and the role of even the Satans were heretically transferred. So interestingly what happened, these people, because it's a smaller community, because it's a community which is a lot of ritual orientation is there, they have gone and convinced the police station, and they understood that it is one person who was jealous about getting a major role was doing all these things. So they were somehow convinced. So because the community is very much intact, and that organic chemistry, that organic relationship of that community made it possible for them to cut across the back. So there the religion never played. The community played a role. The community made their own. So the redressive processes of negotiation was only at the local police station level, and it was happened. Later it was not the case. It was a politicized. Now it is not the case. It is the powerless Christianity which is facing. They are neither able to ban nor the thing. So I have another case, not only in the Christian scenario, but also in the Muslim scenario. There was a festival called Kondoti Nercha. Kondoti Nercha is a very interesting festival where, in the Kondoti, in the mosque, there is a nercha, there is an offering happens, and many of the Hindu communities, different kind of communities participating in it. Once upon a time, in the earlier times, it was the Sufism which was dominant in Kerala Muslims, the festivals of symbiotic relationship, give and take, and amicably looking at the other religion was there. But the Gulf migration and the Salafism started coming in. What is actually happening is such kind of nurtures were abandoned. So such a festival, what is exactly happening? The changing philosophy, the changing ideology, the changing identity of the present day communities are making a ban, which is not a ban, but it is ban within them. So it is like subverting the proscription, which is not very much clear. So I will go to a last case, which is a very older case. We also have certain traditions called Theyyam. Theyyam is very much popular in Kerala. Theyyam is part of the Kaliyatam festival. Kaliyatam festival is nothing but a Kaliyatam. Kali is nothing but, Kali is a goddess. Kali, not only goddess Kali, it is also a play. And Theyyam is the god. Etymologically, Theyyam is derived from the Malayalam word Deva, which means God, for the believers of the Theyyam. It is nothing other than the God. The physical form of Theyyam is known as kolam, and which is a unique feature, each Theyyam having a specific features of their costumes and paraphernalia. The Theyyam is in the North Malabar is large, and there exists more than 400 to 500 Theyyams, and which is being performed at different places called Kau, Kotam, Munda, families and things like that. So in a simplistic way, I can say the folklorist Payanad says that Theyyam is the sum total of the belief system, the mythology and the religious factors regarding the local gods and goddesses. There are more than 300 gods and goddesses with their own mythology that narrates how a particular deity is originated and how that deity's journey from one place to the other is happening, how it got the right to have a ritual performances in certain shrines, and how certain subaltern communities like Vannan, Malay, Mapilan, Kovalan, Kopalan, all these people have the ritual right to perform as God for the upper caste. So the Theyyam in the North Malabar is a very interesting kind of phenomenon, where you have an interesting Theyyam. So it's what I'm trying to say I will just wind it up. So it's something like in the Dilip Menon's words, you can say that, he says that Theyyam as a folk dance, and one of the main characteristics of the stories behind Theyyam is the conflict between the lower and upper caste. The violence and the performance involves the protest by the suppressed against the oppressors by a way of subversion, by a way of metaphorical telling. Interestingly, among the Theyyam, there is a Theyyam called Potan Theyyam. Potan is nothing but idiot. So here the Potan Theyyam is a local deity, and an overall construction of the theme of this Theyyam build the identity of the Pulaya downtrodden community. The story of the Potan Theyyam happened in the time period of the Kerala, where the untouchability among the caste was in its ugly condition. The story says that once a Pulaya man happened to come across the same path of an upper caste Brahmin. Thus, seeing this Chandala or the untouchable, the upper caste Brahman ordered him to go away from his path. But the Pulaya man, who was critical about the higher authorities, not ready to move aside from the way, and he started arguing against the unjust behavior. For the upper caste authorities, Pulaya man's arguments was unruly and against the hierarchical structure of the society. that they created for their own privileges. So they mercilessly killed the Pulaya by throwing him into the flame of fire. The flame of fire. So that is the major story behind the Potantayam. But later, a Shaivite myth coming into the, in Kerala, many of the things like a particular kind of a templeization is happening. A smaller kind of sacred gurus becoming temples, and the Hindu mythology started coming in. They transfer the local deity and the local vernacular stories into certain kinds of their Puranic fold. So that's what a Shaivite myth also happened, where the character of the Shankaracharya, who is going in search of the Sarvatmya Pida, happens, on the way. Then, by the time Shiva and Parvati comes in a guise of a Pulaya and family, fully drunk, fully dressed with their children, they come on the road, and on the road they confront the Shankaracharya, and they had a confrontation. That's what they say. And the Pulaya talks to the Shankaracharya that if something cut, your body is cut and my body is cut, both has the red blood. There are many other things. So the totem says so many things, but I'm not talking about it. So Chore, when it is cut, it's both of us as the, then what makes us having this difference? So what I'm trying to say that from the time of memorial, from the time of the the untouchability, from the time of the Theyyam performance, Kerala boasts of certain things, like there were a voice, a performative voice, which questions the untouchability through the performance. So it is nothing but a meta theatre, a theatre or a commemoration of Patan, who defines the authority and the hierarchy, shows us that Kerala's thirst for protesting against the proscriptions. So what exactly happening in our cases is, always in Kerala, proscription goes hand in hand with the resistance. They are mediated by the polemics and politics. And in the first case, which I am talking about, the 2023 case, the external politicization, the excess of politicization suspends the regressive processes and subvert, not directly, not truly, but that may be the nature of the present day politics, complete hypocrisy. You don't play things directly. But that was not the case in the second, where the powerful could succeed in banning a performance like Aral Dirmuru, Sixth Wound, and make a question where the question of Jesus is directly addressed, not the church. The church cannot, or the structures cannot, or the nun and priest cannot replace the Jesus figure. That's what they mean. So when it comes to the question, there was the power was able to manage certain kinds of ban and make the performance end. But in the third case, where I'm talking about the Moorish Natakam, where it's like, the whole locality, the ritualistic nature, the caste-based system could appease and resolve the issues. Yeah? And the redressive process was very easy. It was in a personal terms. That personality terms made that redressive process and reintegrate the community back into whatever it is, even though it is completely blasphemous for a Hindu community, it still continues. That's an interesting thing. But in the case of the Potantayam, it gives you a vigor, it gives you an understanding that a cultural community, a community belongs to, a particular society of people belongs to a particular region, can boast of certain things, of questioning the authority of the so-called powerful, is always commemorated. So that kind of a commemorative act makes the people of Kerala still question authorities. That's what I really wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jolly Buttaseri sir.